Welcome back to Box of Lights and welcome to the East Coast of America where we're playing Liberty or Death. Wrong turn 2, and we're about to start the origin of all our misfortunes. The Americans and the French are ineligible to play this turn, so we're going to start off with the Indian faction and we're going to start with their flowchart. So sequence of play prevents event play or Indian simple has a sword is a no. So it says, is our opposition greater than support? It is right now. An event shifts the support opposition in royalist favour, royalist being the British and the Indian. The event says, execute Patriot desertion as per Winter's quarters round. There's a sequence of play chart that helps you with this. The Winter Quarters card, the desertion phase, here we go. Patriot desertion, remove 1 in 5 militia, 1 in 5 continentals from the map. So this doesn't alter support or opposition, but it can benefit us, of course. Event places at least 1 Indian village, or grants free gather. Event removes a Patriot fort. Event is effective 4+ villages on the map. These are the available forts. Here, there's a British, these are the Patriot, here's the villages. You just look at the number that's open. It's a neat little trick, and that's why we set them up this way. This is one, we don't set them up this way. Right, you fill the highest number spots first, leaving vacant 2. There's 2 on the board. 2 villages on the board. 3, there's 3 British forts on the board. So we don't have 4 villages on the map right now, just 2. So we'll push on to the next bit. No event. Support plus 1d6 is greater than opposition. Interesting. These blue and red ones are 1d3. We do have 1d6 with the game. It's this black one. And it's a 6. Support plus 1d6. Support 3 plus 6, 9 is greater than 4. So again, that's a yes. Pushes us this way. With the gather action, place 2 or more villages, or is 1d6 less than the available war parties. The gather action on the AI, and normally what you do with the gather is you're replacing 2 Indian war parties with 1 village. Okay, but the AI here says replace only where there's 3 or more war parties. In other words, they replace 2 and leave 1 war party behind, unless there's a corn planter in the space which they're in. So although there's a couple of spaces where the Indian nation can take the gather action, there's 2 war parties in Florida, there's 2 in New York, so they could replace those with villages in the gather action. They're not going to, because that will leave them short of war parties. But the next bit of the logic says, or 1d6 is less than the available war parties. You can see the available war parties is 7, so 1d6 is always going to be less than this. Okay, so they will take this gather action. So follow the logic. So this is a yes. So place villages where there's room. There isn't. Then place war parties at villages. First where enemies, then where no underground war parties, then with Indian leader, then random. Okay, so we're going to place some war parties. There's 2 Indian villages on the map, remember. There's one here at Quebec and another one in the southwest. Here in Quebec, there are enemies. There's some Patriot militia here. So we're first going to place a war party here. Okay, where there's enemies. Now normally this costs 1 resource for each province you're going to place in, but it's free. The first province is free if it's an Indian reserve. All these places outside the provinces are Indian reserves. They have always neutral in the support and opposition box. They also have a 0 population. And the other benefit of the AI placing where there's villages is if you place a war party with the gather action where there's a village, you get to place 2 instead. Pretty neat, huh? So that's 1 province, that's going to cost nothing. Then they would consider the next province with a village, which is the southwest. It says max 4 on here, so they're going to do this up to 4 times. The problem now, though, is that every placement from here on in is going to cost a resource, every gather. Okay, and we don't have any resources for the Indian nation. So they're not going to get to place their war parties here. So that's the end of their gather action. It says then, warpath maximum 1. If Indian resources equals 0, they are. Trade if possible. Otherwise, warpath. Incidentally, it looks like we're going down this middle route again for the Indians. So they're currently either here or here. They've played the command. Now they're looking to see if they can play a special activity. Trade says in any one province with an underground war party in a village. We can do this. Our AI says trade if possible. And this is where we get the choice now, because remember, we're looking to use the Indians to our advantage. They're going to help us take control of provinces, okay? British choose an amount, or none, of resources to transfer to the Indians. If greater than 1, transfer that amount of resources from the British to the Indians and activate one underground war party in the selected province. An interesting choice, huh? Now looking ahead, I mean, I know that next time the Indians aren't going to be able to act. There's a possibility that they're going to be acting first on the next card. Let's think. So why don't I transfer? I could choose none. Why don't I transfer? Let's just transfer 1 for now. We want them to be able to do some stuff. Because I think we want to try and do more stuff over there in the colonies. Let's see. And we can activate one underground war party. Active is with the symbol face up. These are underground. Underground can do stuff like raiding, rabble rousing. Active. This marks units that have been activated already. These are more vulnerable to battle. I'm going to activate one of these that I've just placed actually. So these ones have been busy collecting resources, hence activating them. Alright. Okay, so they've gone in this box here. That ends the Indian faction's turn. So now it's time for us as the British to act. And we can either pass or we can take the event or a limited command. And the thing about a limited command is that you can take a command and a special action, or a special activity. Yeah? And normally a special activity accompanies a particular type of command. So for example, you could take the Common Cause special activity after march and battle. Okay. A limited command says we can't take that special activity. Right? It's just the basic command. All right? And the other thing is that you're limited to just one province. You know how, like the Indians, they chose potentially more than one province to gather, resource allowing. With a limited action, you can only select one province. Okay, just one province. So we've got to decide whether we want to do that or whether we want to execute the event. We'll talk about the victory conditions in more detail a little bit later, but you already know it's all about getting support versus opposition for the British, right? If you're playing Patriots the other way around. So let's show you how we muster support, and hopefully that'll give you a clue as to where the game's heading. So New York's neutral at the moment. It's got a population of 2. Why don't we try and muster some support here? So we're going to take the muster action. Okay? And the purpose is to add British forces and build support. It's going to cost us 1 resource per space selected. So we'll pay our 1 resource. With our muster action, we can place either 2 Tories, the green ones, or up to 6 regulars. Tories got to be in or adjacent to a location with regulars, a city with regulars, or a fort. With regulars, you can place them in any city or an adjacent colony, as long as it's not blockaded, okay, by those French blockades. So why don't we go for, actually not New York, let's try and take control of Pennsylvania, because that gives us good access down here. Now we don't want to concentrate all our forces too much, alright, we want to look forward a little bit and try and kind of spread our forces a little more thinly. Let's just put 2 British regulars in. I'll tell you, we'll put 3. There's a good population here. Let's put 3 British regulars here in Pennsylvania. Remember, it has to be a city. Okay, cities are the ones in yellow. Okay, this is a colony. A city or an adjacent colony. In Pennsylvania is adjacent. This is kind of like a zoom out, if you like. So Philadelphia's here, and it is adjacent, these adjacent areas, to Pennsylvania, a colony adjacent to a city. Obviously that now moves to our control. And now we've got a choice. We can either build a fort, in which case we replace 3 regulars with a fort, but we're not going to do that just now. Or we can build support, and we can build support from neutral by paying 1 resource per level of support we want to gain. So we can gain passive support at a cost of 1 resource, or active support at a cost of 2 resources, plus the 1 that we've paid to muster in this location. I'm going to just use 1 for now, keep a resource in the bag. So that's just going to cost me 2 resources. 1 to muster and 1 to build support. And that's my action, my limited command. And obviously my support's gone up 2 because of the 2 population, 1 times 2. We're up to 5. And we're now ready for Benedict Arnold. And what you should find interesting here is that last time I could have passed, and because on Benedict Arnold we got the Patriots going first and then the British, that would have meant that they would then go and I would get to go, and the French have lost their opportunity. They're going to have to wait until next time. But it does mean then obviously that for this card we got the French and the Indian factions going. As it stands, we're here. We're going to get an opportunity to run on the Benjamin Franklin Travels to France card. Let's start with the Patriots then. They can play the event. There's no special event instructions. That musket symbol. Support is greater than opposition, but neither effect changes the support opposition. The events here are remove 1 British fort and 2 British cubes from 1 space to casualty. So that would increase the French prep, but not the support opposition. Okay, remember support opposition is just the sum of the opposition on the board. So we head on. Patriot resources greater than 0. Yes, they are. Rebel cubes plus leader greater than the active royalist pieces in space with both. Okay, so we're looking potentially for a battle here. We're looking for a space where there are rebel cubes and royalist pieces. So we're just looking at cubes, so this doesn't count. This is militia, not cube. We're looking for regulars, Tories and Continentals. Alright. So we do have some share here. It's active royalist. Now these don't have an active underground side. These ones are underground, so they don't count. So it's 1, 2, 3. There's 5. 3 versus 5. No, that's not greater. So we're just not going to try and force a battle here. Again, no good here. We outnumber them. So there's nowhere here right now where the Patriots feel like doing battle. So instead we're going to move on to potentially the rally action. Right, we're following the no down rally. This says if the rally action would place a fort or 1d6 is greater than the underground militia on the map, would the rally action place a fort? Well, rally is like the Indian gather. Remember when we looked at the potential of combining 2 war parties into a village? Rally is the same. Place 1 militia or replace 2 units with 1 fort. But although rallying allows replacing 2 units with a fort, if we look on the flowchart, it actually wouldn't do it because it says place a fort in each space with 4+ Patriot units. Okay, so they wouldn't place 4. There aren't any where there's 4 units. The maximum we've got in one spot is 3 right now. Although there is a second condition here. 1d6 is greater than the number of underground militia on the map. Right, that's not going to work either. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we can't roll higher than a 6. So yeah, we're going to consider doing some rabble rousing now. We're looking for a space, and it says any 1 or more spaces. We're looking for any space that's rebellion controlled and has patriot pieces, or there's 1 or more underground militia. So what the patriots are trying to do now is going to spend their resources to turn around that support we've got to build opposition to British rule. We're looking first for any that have active support. There are none, of course. In fact, all the spaces where we have passive support are either under British control or there aren't any patriot militia. And the thing is here, because there's lots of candidate places, it does say first look for anything with active support. There weren't anything in active support, and if there were more than one, it would be ones with highest population. So we can still do it, but now we have to choose randomly, and this is where we have to use this this random spaces chart. You roll 1d3 and 1d6. Okay. So we've got a 3 and a 3. And we have this little player aid, okay? So this is all your special events. So that's why you can see that musket or that sword. We've got random spaces map to show you how this works. But there's a random spaces table here. So we've got a 3 on the 1d3 and a 3 on the 1d6. And the 3 on the d3 is this column, and a 3 on the d6 is this column, and it says choose Florida before South Carolina. Okay, so we'll check to see if Florida is a candidate space. If it's not, we'll check Carolina. If neither of those are candidate spaces, we'll go down the column, and we'll keep working in this fashion. Okay, so let's have a look. Florida or South Carolina? Here's Florida. It's not in Patriot control. It doesn't have Patriot militia, so that's not a candidate. South Carolina, likewise. It's not in control of the rebels, and there's no Patriot militia there. So then we go on. We just work our way down the column. We get to the bottom, we follow the arrows around to the top of column 1. Alright, so where will be 3-3? Florida, South Carolina. Next down is Georgia. Georgia is a candidate city. Here's Georgia. It's got both militia and it's under the rebel control. We found our province. We spend the resource. This is Patriots, remember. If this wasn't under a control, there is militia here. Okay, so they will be able to still do the rabble rousing simply by activating their militia. But because it's under rebellion control, all they need to do is spend the resources. So they're going to spend 1 resource, and that will allow them to put passive opposition in here. You can only increase the level by 1, okay, for each region that they choose. And you can place one of these pawns on here to show that we've activated that region, just so we don't come back and accidentally do it. The next thing we do is we add a propaganda token to the location. Doesn't matter which one you choose. I happen to have chosen Paul Revere. Pretty good for the Patriots. It makes the Patriots a little more involved to play out the AI, just remembering all these different steps. Now we can carry on, right? This rabble rousing can happen in as many available provinces as possible. So we've got that one done. There's another one here that we could do. Another one here. Another one up here. Alright, so we'll just keep rolling. So here we get 3-3 again. So we know Florida, South Carolina, Georgia's done. Boston is the next option. Boston is not a candidate. Quebec province. You can't influence the locals here. They're always neutral. So we'll skip that one. New Hampshire. Okay, so there's our next one. New Hampshire is under Patriot control. So no need to flip those militia. It's under their control. We make it passive oppose. Add a propaganda. It's John Lamb. Well, this region is done. It spends a resource. There's 1, 2, 3 spaces more and only 2 resources. So let's see which they're going to choose. Let's roll again. time we got a 6 and a 1. So that's New Jersey on our chart. New Jersey is not an option. We'll move up. Northwest, Maryland, Delaware, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Philadelphia. Philadelphia is an option. It's under their control, so they don't need to activate. So passive oppose, we're adding James Swan as our propaganda. That's another region covered. One resource spent, they've got one left. So either here or here, North Carolina or Charlestown. So roll again. It's a 1-1, which is going to be Charlestown. Uses the last of our resources. So another passive oppose. It's under our control, or Patriot control rather. Propaganda. And a marker. Well, it does say here that if Patriot resources reach 0, which they did during the rabble rousing, immediately use persuasion before continuing the rabble rousing command. Persuasion is a special activity of the Patriots. Okay, so they're currently doing a command, and they're going to do a special activity, persuasion. Persuasion allows them to gain resources. It says in up to 3 colonies or cities with rebellion control and Patriot pieces, including underground militia. Okay, they will need to select a colony or city, add 1 Patriot resource, and activate 1 underground militia, and then place a propaganda marker. Okay, so we're looking for places with Patriot militia, and we're going to activate them. And we're going to start with any places under Patriot control that have a fort. So there's 2 forts on the map, weren't there? One here. There aren't any militia here. So there's one up in Massachusetts. So we activate one of these. I'm going to add one of these black markers to say that we've done the special activity there. That adds 1 resource. And we can do this up to 3 times. So other places are here. And here, and down here. 1, 2, 3. That's it. So we're going to choose 2 out of the 3. So again, we've got to roll. So it's a 4-2. So it's North Carolina first, according to the flow of arrows. So we're going to activate. A marker, that's another resource. 2, we've got 1 more to go, so let's roll. So we're looking at Georgia or New Jersey, is that right? Yeah, those are the only 2. Georgia or New Jersey. Oh no, hang on, we've got Massachusetts as well. I forgot that. Okay, so Massachusetts actually would have gone first because it's got a fort in it. So that's our 3. That's our 3. Okay. And they need to get a propaganda token as well. So 1 in Massachusetts. This is Patrick Henry. Incidentally, they don't have any function. They don't mean anything. They're different names. It's just for historical flavour, really. 1 more in New Hampshire. Joseph Warren. And then 1 in North Carolina. This is Samuel Adams. Okay, and we've got 1 more resource. Now, interestingly, what that means is we can continue with that rabble-rousing action, which means, I think there was 1 place left, which was here, which is under Patriot control. So, passive oppose, 1 more propaganda. So that costs them 1 more resource. And then we've got 1, 2, 3. Don't forget to count the populations. 1, 2. There's population 2, that's 3, 4, 5. Population 1, that's 6. And that's all of them. Which means total opposition goes up 6, from 4 to 10. Wow. That was a hefty, hefty turn. Do you know what? I think I've taken 1 too many resource off there. It doesn't matter. They would have done the persuasion anyway as their special activity. It takes us out of the then clause, and then obviously we've got the potentially the special activity, which we've already taken as it goes because they did their persuasion. Alright, so that ends Patriot turn. And next would be British, but we're ineligible. The Indian faction, ineligible. So then it's the French. So join me next time and we'll see how the French respond in support of the Patriots.